budget are these guys working with?
This show totally snuck up on me. I saw a trailer for it once a while back and then suddenly, boom, there it is. And to be honest, I'm glad. Experiencing the show with no idea what to expect only made it better because the crew was firing on all cylinders and it was goddamn beautiful. The animation is pretty great, especially when it comes to the facial expressions and action scenes. The characters are so expressive and so good at breaking things. I mean, look at this and tell me it doesn't look great. And by that I mean go down in the comment section and tell me what you think of this show, and also hit the like button while you're at it. As for the comment section, I should probably do something to make sure YouTube doesn't remove it.
Fuck you!
Spoilers, by the way. At certain points the show looks like a game. I swear as I watched this season I was thinking in the back of my mind, and that's the player adjusting to the new game mechanic, and that's the boss battle, and that's advancing to the next level. The story itself focuses on Sonic trying to figure out what's happening when he's transferred from his usual home of lush forests and green trees to an empire ruled by Dr. Eggman, inexplicably in the exact same place he lives. It was an interesting experience because I'm older than 14, so I thought I pieced together exactly what had happened based on context clues and the fact I've seen this exact same scenario before. But then episode 3 ended with Sonic being transferred to another world, and I realized there was a lot more to what was going on than I initially thought, which only made things more fun. As it turns out, Sonic hadn't just been transferred to a world where he never existed, but his actions in the first 5 minutes of the show shattered reality into alternate timelines. So there's an Eggman world, a jungle world, a pirate world, a desolate landscape, and more to come. If I can put my theory hat on for a second, I believe that each world is tailor-made in a way to highlight one of the characters present at the shattering of the Paradox Prism. Except for Shadow, because he teleported with Chaos Control. Eggman has New York City, powered by his shard. Amy was the monster of the overgrown jungle, obsessed with hers, and Knuckles is the captain of his own ship, hunting down his, and also low-key obsessed with it. I'm guessing the desolate landscape has a hidden aspect in relation to Rouge considering the presence of crystals, and we haven't seen the world of Tails. One major thing that keeps the show together is the strong writing in both the story and characterization, especially for Sonic, who is the most consistently present character. The writers strike the right balance of giving him adequate flaws that he needs to grow from, while making it believable that his friends would follow him into battle. Oftentimes, such characters usually make me wonder, why would anyone follow this guy into a goddamn Walmart? But even when Sonic Prime has Sonic's flaws making things worse, I still don't find myself questioning what everyone else sees in him. But it isn't just Sonic's characterization that I find fascinating, but the characterization of his allies, and more specifically, the alternate versions of his allies who are affected in different ways by the different places they live in. The standout is definitely 9. The New York City variant of Tails is a rather believably flawed reflection of a Tails that never knew Sonic and had to harden himself against the bullying he was a victim of. His design is spectacular, with his limp biological Tails he's evidently ashamed of, paired up with his 7 more powerful technological ones that, in resting form, combine to form a single tail. It says so much about his character and lends itself to inventive moments and fights. The alternates are also pretty fun, with their own names to make differentiating them easier. Special shout out to Mangy, Knuckles the Dread, Rebel Rouge, and my second favorite, Rusty Rose.
Sonic is the captain? I wish I were programmed to laugh.
And of course there's Shadow, who has the wonderful character arc of punching Sonic in the face for almost no reason, to calling out for help so Sonic can come to the Shatterverse so he can punch him again, this time for a better reason. Honestly, writing wise, Shadow seemed rather weak compared to everyone else. The show seems to be trying to portray him as a sort of voice of reason, but that's kind of hampered by the fact that all he seems to want to do is fight Sonic. In fact, he's the reason Sonic was late to help fight Eggman when everything started. As for Eggman and his family, they're an adequate source of comic relief and a believable threat to both Sonic and the entire Shatterverse. Considering New York City is the most consistent setting in the show, it's understandable to put such effort into writing what's basically the main villains. Well, at least for now, there's still room for some twists. One of the biggest issues I've seen some people take up with the show is the pacing and use of flashbacks. The story destroys the universe in the first 5 minutes and has separate flashbacks building up to the shattering of the Paradox Prism. It's especially egregious considering that the first episode has a 9-minute flashback of what happened right before the shattering. However, I can't completely knock the use of flashbacks. I think relegating the shadow sections to later episodes work fine. But if the story really wanted to try and build up a mystery, it might have been better to start the show at this point. And make the intro part of the flashbacks as Sonic realizes what he did wrong in episode 3. That way it sidesteps the frustration of waiting for Sonic to figure out what the audience may or may not have figured out in the first 10 minutes. I suppose this video should have an ending, but I'm not quite sure why, considering that the season doesn't. The end of episode 8 feels less like the last episode of a season and more like a cliffhanger 2/3 of the way through. It's probably my biggest problem. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like the show just stopped in the middle of what's basically the rising action for the season's overall plotline. The show feels just short of complete. When I watch it, I feel like there's a lot more to explore of the characters and the story it really wants to get into, but it ends without any fanfare. And really that makes sense considering that this is apparently just part of what's supposed to be 24 episodes. But the end of what's essentially the first season feels like it should have more of a final impact. Think of Arcane. It was also released in chunks, but the end of each third was quite impactful. Episode 8 feels like Sonic just got abruptly jumped right after finishing a side quest. Actually, that's basically what happened. If there's one bright side though, it is that this means we're getting 16 more episodes of this, which is a win in my book. Though I desperately hope the episodes have already been made and will be released in, I don't know, a month? But all things considered, this is a pretty good 1/3 of a show. But what did you guys think? Tell me your thoughts in the comments section down below, and while you're down there, hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and share this video with all of your friends. Thank you and good day.